Hello and welcome back to my channel and another episode of my Sims 2 Uberhood. So today we're here with the Goth family. Last time we checked in with these guys, it was the scripted events where Cassandra was left at the altar by Don Lothario and Dina Caliente, now Dina Goth, married Mortimer. So first things first with these guys, as with all the families in this first rotation, we've got some setting up to do. So first off, I want to give both Mortimer and Cassandra degrees. Now, as they are both either currently or previously in the science career, I'm going to give them both the physics degree, and I also want to give them more secondary aspirations. So as I mentioned in my last video, I've made my own calculator for this. I've made a calculator to decide secondary aspirations and also careers when it's relevant, and while it is using inspiration from a lot of other people's calculators, I have tweaked a lot of things. And so interestingly, I've never played Mortimer like this before, so it's going to be an interesting ride. But with my calculator, Mortimer got a secondary aspiration of romance, which I would never have picked for him before. I think I would have picked almost anything else for him. Usually I have him as a knowledge family sim, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. I can sort of see it though, if I'm honest. It kind of makes sense. I mean, first of all, it would explain why he had such a solid relationship with Bella for so long, because she's a romance sim, and if he's got some romance tendencies as well, then perhaps they sort of allowed each other to wander around a little bit more in their youthful days. But also it sort of makes sense because obviously he's now broken up with Bella in favour of a younger woman, and not only that, but in his wants panel he wants to flirt with Dina and flirt with Nina, so he's clearly got those tendencies already. Like, those were in his wants panel before I selected his secondary aspiration. I think he loads up with that anyway, so he's clearly got some tendencies there. So it seems surprising, but I can kind of see it for him. So he's going to be a knowledge romance sim. I have to say the others are a lot less surprising though. So Dina's is pleasure, which I'm pretty sure I've played her as before, but I'm not entirely sure. So she's going to be a fortune pleasure sim. And finally, Cassandra is going to be a knowledge sim. So she's going to be a family knowledge sim. And to be honest, if she ended up with anything other than knowledge as her secondary aspiration, I think I would have to rework my calculator, because Cassandra is one of those who really should have knowledge as her primary aspiration. I don't know why it's family. I kind of get it, but I feel like family should really be secondary to knowledge. Like, I always forget that she's not actually a knowledge sim. So yeah, if my calculator had pulled up anything other than knowledge, I think I would have to go back to the drawing board and rework it. But it did. So that reassures me that Mortimer's secondary romance isn't just because the calculator is completely bonkers and makes absolutely no sense. It does make sense. I think it's actually kind of interesting to play him a bit differently this time, potentially. So interestingly, Dina immediately wants to go on vacation. What she's vacationing from, I've got no idea. She's not done anything. But I do feel it's pretty on brand for her. You know, it's day one of being moved into the Goth mansion and she already wants to spend the money on a vacation. So even though it's the very start of the week and nobody's actually done anything yet, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So let's have Dina come and book a vacation. Now, I know that the Goths actually have enough money to go for 7 days and 6 nights, but truth be told, I'm not the biggest fan of vacations in The Sims 2, so I'm going to have them go for 3 days and 2 nights and that's it. I don't think I can cope with any more. And then I think we'll send them to 3 Lakes, but don't worry, we're not going to skimp out on the price. We're going to send them to the most expensive place, which is the Sky Vista Hotel. Alright, so off everyone goes with their little suitcases, which is really adorable. I hadn't actually realised, and I'm pretty sure it fulfilled a want for Mortimer as well, so I guess he also wanted to go on holiday. So let's have a look at what rooms they've got. So I think we're going to take these 2 rooms down here. This is the biggest and looks like a really nice room, and I think what we can do is we can have Mortimer and Dina in this double, and then Cassandra can have her own double and Alexander can share a room with her. I think that's the best way to do it. I think between them they're over £2,000 a night, but that's fine, they've not got to worry about money here. And then let's have Dina check in for 2,203 simoleons a night. Alright, so they're all checked in, so let's go see what everyone wants to do. It's interesting because Mortimer's wants are entirely revolved around being on holiday. Dina's mostly are, except the one that I've locked in back in Pleasantview. Same with Alexander, they're pretty much all about being on holiday, whereas Cassandra, she does want to learn a slap dance, so she's thinking about being on holiday a little bit, but for the most part all of her wants are revolved around making a life for herself at home, flirting, having a baby, getting a pet. So I just feel like maybe Cassandra, she's really struggling to get ahead in this vacation. I guess she's still obviously quite heartbroken about Don, whereas everybody else is just seeing the vacation as a welcome break. Maybe Cassandra just feels like it's a distraction from what she actually wants to do, which is settle down and build a life with someone. But don't worry, Cassandra, Cassandra, time is frozen when you're on vacation, so you're not losing any time. Your eggs are not aging, do not panic. What she can do while she's on holiday is she wants to be friends with Dina, so clearly she's accepted that while her love life didn't quite work out the way she wanted, that her dad's has, and even though she's still unhappy with her dad for breaking up with her mum in the first place, I guess she wants to get to know her new stepmother, make a friend, and build that bridge for the sake of their family, even though she's still nursing her own broken heart. And of course she's got no idea that Dina is with Don. That'll be a bombshell if that ever comes out. I have just noticed, however, that Mortimer has a want to learn a new massage, which he can't do here in the hotel. So we might as well take everybody with us and make it a family event. I mean, not the massage itself, but I think it'd be nice for everybody to get out. And I'm assuming Smooth Rock Spa is probably the place with the massage table. So let's take everyone to the spa. So even though it's Mortimer who wants a massage, it's Cassandra and Dina who are most happy about being at the spa, which makes sense because Dina obviously wants to get pampered. That's sort of who she is. And I imagine Cassandra, while it's not necessarily where she would normally go, I think she probably needs a bit of pampering right now. She needs a bit of TLC. That being said, it's Mortimer who wants the massage, so he's going to take the massage table. So there's only one massage we can actually learn, so let's go ahead and send him to do that. And then while we're here, we might as well have Cassandra and Dina chat a bit and get back to working on making friends with each other. Nothing like a spa day to get the girls getting along, although maybe not because they don't seem to be getting along, but you know, spa day. And Alex can just, I don't know, wander around and talk to strangers or something, I guess. Alright, so that's that massage learned. Now the other thing that Mortimer wants to do is go on a tour. There is a tour guide here, so I'm assuming that we can just go from this community lot, because surely if we couldn't, they wouldn't be here. It looks like he is the only one who wants to go. It might be that people change their minds, but for now we'll send him alone. And we'll send him on a... I mean, none of these things really sound like the things he would like, to be honest, but let's go on a logging expedition. So while he's off doing that, these guys are actually getting along pretty well. They're only 1 point away from becoming friends, so... Oh, and there we are, they're friends now. So they've obviously found something in common and managed to make a bond. Although I'm sure they haven't yet shared that thing in common is Don Lothario. I know I said I was just going to ignore Alexander and let him meet some new people. This isn't quite what I had in mind, but he's just chilling in the hot springs, chatting about tennis, I guess. Anyway, he does have a want as well to be friends with Dina. Clearly, both him and Cassandra want to welcome her into the family, so we're going to have him go and chat to her as well, see if we can get them both friends with her. It's quite nice that despite the divorce, both Cassie and Alex seem to want to welcome Dina with open arms. Neither of them are particularly feeling any negativity towards her. They both want to make friends with her, so that's quite nice for Dina. I'm assuming that this has come from Mortimer's outing. It says you've discovered a map to a secret mountain location. That's interesting. I've not had that one before. I mean, when I say I haven't had that one before, what I do mean is I've not played Vacations very much, so I'm not saying that's necessarily super rare. I'm just saying I've not had that before. I'm assuming it might have something to do with Bigfoot though, because I know that's like a big thing in Three Lakes, I think. And I am sorry to disappoint, but even though everybody but Dina wants to meet Bigfoot, I'm not going to attempt to do that because I want to play realistically. That's just my preference. Obviously, respect anybody's preference to play as supernatural and unrealistic as they want, or any blend of whatever, but I don't really like playing with the supernatural, so I've got no interest in trying to find Bigfoot. So Alex and Dina have made friends, so Dina's now on good terms with everybody in the family. Cassandra's just been here studying. She got a cleaning skill point and she now wants to earn a cooking skill point, so she's clearly still got work on the brain. She's clearly one of those people who just can't switch off even when they're on vacation, but that's fine. She clearly wants a promotion, so if she wants a skill build on vacation, we can do that for her. Mortimer, his secondary romance is coming out. He wants to woohoo in the sauna and ask us him on a date. Now it is getting a bit late on the day, so I don't really want to do the date right now, but bearing in mind last episode, Dawn and Nina woohooed a whole bunch of times and never got pregnant from it. I'm curious to see how fertile Dina is. Let's see if she's any more fertile than her sister and see if she can manage to evade pregnancy with a little sauna woohoo. Alright, so they're in the sauna. Dina's opening up the conversation, talking about death. Maybe she's a bit worried that this is going to kill him. It's okay, it's not The Sims 4. I don't actually know if there is any chance of pregnancy because usually it would come up as try for baby. I'm not sure if my risky woohoo is risky in a sauna or not. So it might be that there's no chance of getting pregnant from this. And it might be that there is, I really don't know, but we'll do it anyway. He wants to do it, so it'll be a double surprise if she does get pregnant because I'm not even sure if she can. And that's it, I guess. Apparently something's happening in there, even though it doesn't seem much like it, but he's not dead, she's not pregnant, everything's good. We better send everybody back to the hotel and let them get some rest. Alex is pretty tired, So Mortimer's first to wake up. He's really leaning into that romance secondary. I don't know if Sims can get pregnant on vacation or not, but if they can, I'll be surprised if Dina doesn't. But it could just be that the Caliente twins are very careful, we'll see. Just to really drive home how much Cassandra's head is still in her work, she's straight up got undressed for work this morning. Cassandra, you're not even in the same country. You're not going to work today. Mortimer, however, fully has his head in the vacation, and he wants to woohoo in a hammock. Now, there is some hammocks up here. They are straight up in broad daylight by a road, so everybody's gonna see them, but why the hell not? Alright, so Dina's just gonna go and get herself comfy, or maybe not. Sorry, I just didn't realise that was a thing that could happen. You okay down there? They're clearly very bouncy hammocks. Alright, and this time Woohoo and Try for Baby are coming up for options, so I assume that means that the Risky Woohoo will actually work with the hammock. So let's see how it goes. Oh, careful there, Dina. You don't. Is that really a good idea? Whether she can stay put long enough for Mortimer to amble his way over here, I'm not sure. So let's have a bit of hammock Woohoo. Surprisingly agile for an old man. So I just paused because I'm a serial pauser in this game. I don't like not having control, so I pause all the time. But I just caught something. I don't know if you can hear it. There's going to be a little goth baby on the way. So I suppose Dina, it's going to be interesting to know how she feels about it. Because on one hand, I don't know that she's particularly bothered about being a mother. But like on the other hand, this baby will solidify her to the goth fortune, right? If there's any doubt in Mortimer's mind that she can have any inheritance, a baby is going to really solidify that. I think the only issue with her getting pregnant now on holiday is that I'm going to have to keep her alive for a few days. I like the 18-hour pregnancy mod, partially because it keeps my Sims ages aligned a bit better, and partially because it means I've only got to deal with pregnant Sims for 18 hours. But I'm going to have to deal with Dina for a full 3 days, so I think the next question is she going to survive this? Pregnant Sims are hard enough as it is, but on holiday it's the worst, because usually I rely on them a little bit, using common sense and feeding themselves, but on holiday I have to order room service. I don't think there's any other way about it, other than obviously going out to eat, but again, that's something I have to do, so I can't rely on them to look after themselves at all. And so it's like all of a sudden I look at their needs and they're dying. And I find that hard enough with any sim, let alone when they're pregnant. Alright, it's actually the last day of their holiday. I'm just having Cassandra get some room service for everybody, but everybody except her is completely exhausted and in bed. So they can wake up to some food if they feel like it later, but Cassandra at least needs to eat, and I'm sure Dina does too, but I'm scared to look at her needs, so I'm gonna just live in denial. Alright, and the food's going down by the toilet. Lovely. Well, we'll have Cassandra come and eat some toilet lobster, and everyone else can help themselves if they want later. But first, Cassandra's going to come and get upset because she's just seen her dad in bed with her stepmother. I suppose it sort of makes sense because it's like maybe it hadn't really sunk in that her parents were divorced, and seeing it yourself with your own eyes is... Oh, Dina's thinking about Don. Yeah, seeing it yourself with your own eyes might be a bit hard to stomach, but at the same time, you know, they're married, it's all above board, you know this is happening, and you're also a grown-ass woman, so you'd think it'd be alright by now, but regardless, I guess feelings are feelings, you can't ignore them. Alright, so it's time to check out. It costed about $7,000 in the end, and the shuttle is on its way to take everyone home. Alright, everybody's getting the suitcases and heading home, and now finally Dina's pregnancy can progress, and I don't have to worry about first trimester sickness anymore. It's a bit jarring getting home so late at night, but I suppose that's probably just the time of the flight, I don't know. Alrighty, vacation benefits. So I like to try and sync these with their aspirations. I just need to remember which one's which each time. So Dina is a fortune pleasure sim, so she can have that one and that one, and then I might as well just give her that one as well. And then Mortimer is knowledge romance, so he can have that one and that one, and we'll give him an extra one slot as well. Cassandra is family knowledge, so she can have this one, that one, and this one. And Alexander, he's not got an aspiration yet, so that's a bit tricky, but we'll give him the fortune one because that's what his aspiration's gonna be, and then we'll just give him these two as well. Sorted. So it looks like Dina might be getting out for her first pregnancy pop, so second second trimester. That means the baby will be born about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I sort of lost track of time because obviously we've had a whole holiday, but 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is going to be a bit chaotic because that's when Cassandra gets home from work and Alex gets home from school, and Dina's going to give birth all at the same time, so that's going to be fun. Cassandra's not happy about Dina. I wonder if Cassandra's feeling a little bit sad because, you know, she almost had what Dina has, which is a husband and a baby, so maybe she's feeling a little bit jealous. But don't worry, Cassandra, I've got better plans for you. Much better plans than Don Lothario. So this morning, Dina's actually got a want to earn 500 simoleons, which I actually locked in while they were on vacation, and I've been thinking about it since then because I had in my head that Dina wouldn't really want to get a job of her own. She's just quite happy living off the Goth fortune. She strikes me as the kind of person who's not really worried about where the money comes from, she just wants money. So it's not that she gets any sort of satisfaction out of earning it, she just wants it. And so I thought, living in a mansion and having nearly 400 grand to play with, she could just buy whatever she wanted, live a life of luxury, go on vacations all the time, and she'd never have to work and she'd never want to work. So I thought about what this want could mean. I toyed with the idea of just having it be like from investments, like at 4 o'clock each day there's a chance obviously to get some income from investments. So I did toy with that idea, but I wonder if now that she's pregnant, maybe Dina's having some second thoughts. Like, I imagine because a baby wasn't necessarily in her plan, while she's not unhappy about the pregnancy necessarily, it's not like life ruining or anything, I think she was kind of indifferent about it. And now that she's showing and reality is starting to set in, she's probably at this point about 5 months pregnant, reality is starting to set in that there will be in a few months a baby to look after, and that she is not only going to be the main person responsible for it, because I mean Mortimer is retired but he's also in his 60s now. Maybe she's starting to realise exactly what she's gotten herself into, and so maybe she's thinking that actually she's going to need to take some time out away from the family home and away from the children. Like, while she doesn't necessarily want to be a career woman, I don't think she necessarily wants to be a stay-at-home mum either. So what I think I'm going to do is have a look for a job, and I think that's how I'm going to interpret that one, is that she basically just wants to get out of the house. She's hoping that maybe Mortimer will be able to take care of the baby himself. Maybe Cassandra can help as well, because obviously she is a family sim, although she also has a job. So maybe that's sort of what she's thinking. I don't know what job I'm going to get her yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a computer, because I don't think that they've got one in this house yet, and I'm just going to click find a job and we'll see what's available today. I've got my career calculator that I made alongside my aspiration calculator, and what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to just take the top one of today for her, if that makes sense. I'm not going to spend all this time waiting for the top one, but I'll just make a note of all of them. We'll look through them once and then I'll pick the one that she scored the most points on with my calculator. And obviously I've got no idea what that'll be yet, but we'll see. And I just missed it, but Dina is having a second pregnancy pop, so she's well on the way. So let's have a look for a job. So our options are journalism, oceanography, show business, natural scientist, and medicine. So interestingly, out of those, the one that she scored the highest in was journalism. So she's going to be a yearbook club supervisor. Although it does say, now that I've got the job, I think I should wait a couple of days before heading into work, at least until after the baby's born. Which I think is fair, given she's now like 6 or 7 months pregnant. But she can go in tomorrow, because the baby will definitely be born by then. Obviously it says a couple days, but that is with an unmodded game where pregnancy is 3 days. So her baby will be born and like a year old by the time she goes in tomorrow. So yeah, she earns absolutely peanuts, and she's still going to end up being in a school. So it does feel a little bit redundant, you know, trying to get away from home and going in a school. But I think she's just hoping that she can build her way up to, you know, having her own office or something. Maybe she thinks that the Goth connections will get her to the top. Who knows? In the meantime though, while she's waiting for her first day of work and her first paycheck, she's got a lot of buy ones. So we're going to go on a little bit of a spending spree and Caliente up this Goth mansion. Alright, so Dina is absolutely still going. She still wants a car, a really expensive computer and a bubble blower, but I'm not going to do any of those things because I don't want to. But we've bought them some gadgets. They've got a pinball machine, a stereo, a microwave, they've got a TV in here. So they've spent a little bit of money. But of course, I'm sure as far as she's concerned, she can always spend more. Alright, so it's 3 o'clock. I'm just bracing myself with the fact everything is about to happen all at once. So first off, Alexander is now one of the top students at school, which I believe means he's got an A+. Cassandra is also home from work, and I believe that means a promotion. So Cassandra's now a science teacher. So all of that work while she was on vacation, getting her skills up, really paid off because she's got promoted. And honestly, I think she'll be really happy being a science teacher. Given she's a family sim, I think she'll love working with the kids. Speaking of kids, finally, it looks like Dina is just getting up ready to give birth. So let's wait and see what she has. Honestly, I'm hoping for a little girl.
Ze cab flown nabben. Huh? Possibly? Crème latige. Nouveau fashion fatigue.
And it's a boy. I'm starting to think that this game's just doing the opposite of what I want, because I said for so long that I wanted a boy and I only ever had girls, and the one time I actually would like a girl, it's a boy. I do have a list of names that I'm going through, and I did consider scrapping it and, you know, sticking with the goth theme of having ER names like Alexander, but I've decided that I am going to stick to the list because, to be honest, both the boy and the girl name that are next don't feel like unusual, although I think the girl name would have fit better, which is why I wanted a girl. So we're going to call him Jack. I feel like Jack, it's not as pretty and fanciful as Cassandra and Alexander, but it is still one of those names that's kind of neither old nor new, if that makes sense. But yeah, I did consider with babies following naming themes. So like, if the Dreamers have a baby, I did consider doing D names, and I did consider doing Shakespearean names for Veronaville. But in the end of the day, I've decided I'm just going to stick to my little list with a handful of exceptions. But for the most part, I'm just going to stick to it. Anyway, so here is little Jack Goth. So as expected, he's got Mortimer's hair and eye colour because they are obviously the dominant ones. I think that's black hair, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember if Mortimer's genetic hair is black or brown, but whichever it is, Jack's obviously got it, which, like I said, I expected. I think it's black, but I sort of thought his genetic hair was brown, so who knows. I am using clean templates, so perhaps the clean templates changed it to black. But anyway, yeah, that's the new little goth baby. And despite not necessarily planning to be a mother, Dina looks pretty happy about it, so I suppose she's come to terms with it, and she's probably just quite glad that tomorrow she'll be getting out of the house. And I imagine she's even more glad that pregnancy is over, because she was pregnant for a long time. You know, in terms of my aging system, she was pregnant for about 4 years. Now, I've never been pregnant, so I can't imagine, but just hearing what expectant mothers say when they get into like the 8-month mark, I imagine that's probably hell to be pregnant for 4 years. But it is over now, Dina, and as long as you're more careful next time, you don't necessarily have to do it again. Poor Alex watched the whole thing, so he is probably traumatized now, but it's alright because they've got plenty of money for therapy. And everybody's coming to say hello. Nothing like being brought into the world with people screaming at you. And poor Cassandra, you can't quite see it behind Jack's portrait, but she was thinking of something with fire, so I imagine she was thinking of Don. So I imagine this whole thing has probably brought back all of those memories about Don leaving her at the altar. But on that note, as she's now back from work and I've locked in the want to flirt, let's do something about that, shall we, Cassandra? Let's perhaps see if there's another man who's interested and who wants to actually treat you right. Let's call up Darren Dreamer and invite him over. I have also just realised it's actually Alexander's birthday today. Now, in the past, I've not always paid attention to birthdays. I've sort of just let them happen. My reasoning then was because I play with the 1 day is 1 year aging system, it felt a bit silly celebrating Sims' birthdays when actually they have birthdays every single day. In reality, they're always getting a year older. But I'm like, maybe it's just that these are the milestone birthdays, so these are the ones that we really pay attention to. Maybe they technically have a party every single day/year, but these are the milestone birthdays. So Alex is turning 11. They're not the same milestones that we tend to celebrate in real life, although some of them are. Whereas in real life we care about like 18 and 21. In The Sims, we care about the transitions from life stages, right? So we care about the 5th birthday, we care about the 11th birthday, we also care about the 18th birthday, and then the big adult one is 60 when they become an elder, and to a certain extent also 2 years old when they go from baby to a toddler. But this time around, I do want to celebrate birthdays, you know, the milestone birthdays. That being said, because it's such a new Uberhood and I haven't really played with this household for very long, you know, we've only been playing for less than a day, Alex doesn't actually have any kid friends. He didn't bring anyone home from school today, he hasn't met anybody. With time, this will will sort of even out, you know, as toddlers age up to children and children age up to teens, so they get to experience their whole life stage before their next birthday, then they should start making some friends, but Alex doesn't have any. I did consider doing a family party and inviting Bella over, but given that Mortimer is in love with Bella still, I feel like that's not a good idea. I feel like Mortimer's going to refuse to invite Bella over, and he's not obviously going to admit that it's because he actually is not only in love with her, but actually has more chemistry with her than Dina, but he's going to, you know, make out that it's just because he's really angry at her and he doesn't want her in the house and, you know, just cause a bit of an issue like that. So I don't think we're going to invite Bella. We're going to make believe that Bella has taken Alex out for his birthday some other time, just her and him. As Cassandra is inviting Darren over, I think it might also be nice if Dina invites Nina, because, you know, she's technically family now as well. She is Alex's step auntie. So what I think we'll do is we'll have Dina come and throw a birthday party for Alex, and the only person she's going to invite is Nina, but Darren will also be here, so he'll sort of consider himself part of the birthday as well, and it'll just be like a little small family birthday party with Mortimer, Cassandra, Dina and Jack and Nina, and then I guess Darren will be here as well as a potential new addition to the family somewhat soon if Cassandra has anything to do with it. So Darren has arrived. He doesn't look very happy. Looks like he's not very happy that he's been invited over for Alex's birthday. I think he was hoping, maybe Cassandra didn't make it clear on the phone, maybe he was hoping that Cassandra had invited him over for some romantic action, and now he's realised that it's Alex's birthday. He's like, oh great, I'm just here as a friend. But good news, Darren, Cassandra actually does want you romantically, so we're going to come and have Cassandra flirt with him. Might as well just go straight in with a butt grab, because ultimately Darren's already in love with her, so what does he care? So I don't think he's going to say no to that. Interestingly, I haven't seen Nina. It says the party started, so in theory all the guests who are arriving should be here, but unless she's snuck in without me noticing, I don't think she's come. She's clearly not that interested in getting to know the Goths. So it's a party that without Darren would have literally nobody here. Cassandra has an evil look in her eyes. That hand it's ready. Well, he liked it, and she is falling in love. Just like that, that's all it took. She felt that ass and she was like, I gotta have it. Okay, so I'm going to consider Cassandra and Darren a proper couple now. I basically decide to do that if two Sims are both in love with each other and they are exclusive to each other. I know there's like a Go Steady mod for adults or something, but I just can't be arsed with that. So those are my rules, is I'm just going to consider them a proper couple when they're both in love with each other and they're not dating other people. That being said, I'm not going to do anything else with them tonight. Obviously Darren is here so they can fully be autonomous if they want to, but I'm not going to do anything else with them tonight because it is Alexander's birthday. So let's go ahead and buy him a cake. Alright, it has taken just about forever, but we finally got Alex here to blow out his candles. So we're going to let people come and gather round. You can ignore the baby crying in the background, we'll deal with him in a minute. Alrighty, here we go. Mortimer's got to go tend to Jack, so he won't be watching Alex, but that's fine. He's got the support of his sister and potentially his future brother-in-law instead. Wait a second, I did not know there was a cutscene for that. Maybe I did, it sort of sounds vaguely familiar, like deep down in the back of my mind, but I wasn't expecting a cutscene to play. Is that what I've been missing out on by not holding birthday parties? Apparently it's a disaster though, I don't know why it's a disaster. I mean, to be fair, I suppose we did only invite one person and she didn't show up. So I've given him the turn-ons of black hair and grey hair and the turn-off of unemployed. I feel like, given that his mother is Bella and his stepmother is Dina, perhaps he's learned some behaviours that make him attracted to older people, bearing in mind he's around women who seem to be, I mean even Cassandra, while Darren's not got grey hair, he is 10 years older than her, according to how I've worked out ages, so all the women in his life are into the older men, so maybe he sort of learned a bit from that. And we're going to give him the fortune aspiration, because that is what his token says. I know a lot of people go with knowledge, and it's possible that he ends up with knowledge as a secondary aspiration when he's an adult. I'll calculate that then. I don't want to give secondary aspirations to teenagers, others. But Fortune, I think, works just as well, and it seems to be what the developers might have intended for him. And I think that can also be explained. It can be explained a little bit by the fact that, again, his stepmother is Dina, but he's also obviously grown up with wealth, so maybe he takes it for granted a little bit, and that might also be why his turn off is unemployed people, because maybe he's got this sort of attitude at the moment of maybe thinking that unemployed people just aren't trying hard enough or something. So he does very much want to maintain his wealth. So we're going to go ahead and give Alex a little makeover, because this whole blue jumper with socks and sandals thing I don't think is really his vibe. Alright, so I've put in the same thing that I've put in before, this big old like 90s goth looking thing. I'm pretty sure I did that last time, but it just feels like the most fitting one for him, because there are definitely some more punk style outfits and then there are a lot of just more plain outfits, but it just feels right for him to be a bit more goth, I suppose. I mean, he's a goth. So that's Alex's makeover. So the party was not bad, which is pretty impressive considering nobody came except Darren, who wasn't really technically invited. Okay, so it's the next day, everybody is getting up. Before we start, I just want to address something real quick. So I realised after Jack was born yesterday, it was also yesterday in real life. I'm recording this on a new day, I've gone to sleep and everything. I ended up saying his name out loud, Jack Goth. And I realise now what that sounds like. I just want to be very clear, that was not the intention. I did not mean to name the baby Jack Off. I genuinely, like I said when I was naming him, just have a list of names and Jack just happened to be the first one. I did, however, because I don't like how the game assigns interests and personality points, when a baby is born, I've decided to go and calculate them myself and change them myself in SimPE so that there's a bit more variation, and that Sims aren't confined to 25 to 35 points in their personalities. And I've also decided to change their favourite hobbies at birth with this information. And of course, my calculator also does aspirations and careers as well. So when I was inputting all that in, assuming his personality and interests don't change from now until he's a teenager, if everything remains the same, he is going to grow up to be a romance sim, which just makes it so much worse. I could change his name, I considered it, but to be honest, I'm going to keep it, because you get people like that every now and again where their parents just don't think and they end up with stupid ass names. So I've already decided he's going to get bullied in school. That's just a given. You can't have a name like Jack Goth and not get bullied in school. So sorry, Jack, but I genuinely didn't realise what that sounded like until I said it out loud to myself a few hours after I'd actually named him in real life. But anyway, that aside, Cassandra does have work very soon. She leaves a bit earlier now that she's got a new job. And both Alex and Dina will also be off in an hour's time. So it's just going to be Mortimer and Jack the baby home alone all day today. And judging from his wants, bearing in mind he can't go on a date while Dina's obviously at work, and he can't do anything with Alex while he's at school, it looks like it's going to be a skill building day, which makes perfect sense for knowledge sim, so I've got no issues with that. Alright, so Dina's off to her first day of work, perhaps dressed a bit inappropriately for a yearbook club supervisor. And Alex is off to his first day of school, well, his first day of secondary school. And Mortimer's going to come talk to himself in the mirror for a bit. So Mortimer's been working on his skills, and he's now rather want to buy a bird cage, which feels pretty fitting for the Goth family. I mean, if they're going to get a pet, a bird feels pretty on brand. There we go, so I've put it here in the dining room just because they are quite big and that was the best space I could think for it. So we're going to come and stock it, because even though his want gets fulfilled just by buying the cage, it seems a bit daft to have a bird cage with no bird. So it feels most fitting to get this black one here. And I sort of also have a list of names for pets, by which I mean I've just got a list of Animal Crossing characters, which sound like vaguely pet-like names. So the first one on that list is Bob. Feels a little bit strange for a goth pet, but you know, they've got a son called Jack Off, so why not a parrot called Bob? There he goes. Okay, so I just had this pop up. It says, when Alexander first began taking violin lessons, he sounded like a marmoset with a bad cold. But something happened, and recently Alexander's been at the top of his game, so much so that he's been offered the position of concertmaster in a school orchestra. Alexander earns 1 creativity skill point from all of the extra experience. That's really interesting, because I wonder if it's got to do with their actual skills, because Alexander does have good creativity skills. He spent a lot of time on holiday playing the piano. So I wonder if that's related or if it's just random, because I've not seen that one before. Alex does, however, being a fortune sim, want to earn some money. So much like with Dina, I'm going to consider this him wanting to get his own job and earn it himself. So I'm going to go and have him look for a job with a computer, and we'll see what's available today. Okay, so the careers we have today are journalism, adventurer, athletic, criminal, and law enforcement. So out of those, with my calculator, it feels really bizarre, but then to be fair, none of them seem to suit him very well. But out of those options, criminal is the one that's come up the highest. I had a look at how my calculator figured that one out, and I think it's because he's got quite high creativity skill, and that's quite good for the criminal career. Now, it feels like it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because obviously people tend to fall into crime through necessity rather than choice, and Alexander is not needing for anything. He's got all the money in the world. There's no reason that he would need to fall into that. However, I don't know if this is a thing in other countries or not, or if it is very much an England thing. It's sort of notoriously known, at least certainly where I'm from, that private schools are overrun with drugs. A lot of schools generally have drug problems, but private schools in particular, I don't know what it is or why, but they seem to have massive drug problems. So perhaps that's what's happened to Alexander as he's gone to private school. You know, his parents have paid this money to give him a brilliant education, but he has fallen into the drug crowd, and maybe that's ramping up a little bit. Maybe he's, being roped into selling and stuff like that. So it felt on the surface that it didn't make sense, but actually maybe it does make sense. So we're going to go ahead and get him a job in the criminal career. There we go. So he's going to be a numbers runner, and he's starting at level 2. And while Alex does that, Dina's actually earning money through legitimate means, so she's been promoted to blog writer. So Dina's got some new work hours. I think she'll be much happier as a blog writer, because I don't think that working in school was her vibe at all, although it actually makes sense. I know that Sims share carpools regardless of their career, but bearing in mind Dina was a yearbook club supervisor and Cassandra is a science teacher, they probably actually did work at the same place, so that carpool sharing actually does make sense. They probably were in the same school. But yeah, I think Dina would much prefer being a blog writer. I don't think working in school is her thing, and she can blog about fashion and makeup and stuff if she wants to, or she can blog about celebrities. I imagine she's probably much happier doing that. Cassandra is home from work as well, and she's actually got the want to get engaged to Darren. Now, I know I keep saying that it's only been a day or two since she got jilted at the altar, which is true. It was Monday and it's now Wednesday. However, in sim time, it's been nearly 2 years, so it's not that fast, really. So I'm going to go ahead and call him up, invite him over, and have Cassandra pop the question. Darren wants to bring his friend over, which is interesting. I mean, I guess we can. It's not really a friend occasion, but, maybe Darren's hopeful that he knows what this is going to be and he wants a friend to film it. So it looks like Darren's friend is actually Matthew Hart from La Fiesta Tech, which is really interesting because I have no idea how these two know each other. I don't recall them meeting when I played either of them. So the only thing I can assume is perhaps they met on a community lot when I went out with Nina and Don a lot, because we went out to a community lot a few times with them. So I can only assume they must have met there and I just didn't pay attention. Yeah, so I guess we'll go and meet these two. Well, not meet these two, greet Darren and meet Matthew. Matthew's clearly not doing very well. I mean, I remember he wasn't doing very well now when we left him last. He's still not doing very well. He's crying about his family aspiration being low. So it feels especially cruel to do this right here and right now. But we're going to go ahead and propose engagement to Darren. And hopefully it doesn't affect Matthew too much. Matthew, don't worry. When we play you, I'm sure you'll probably also get engaged and married to the love of your life. But right now, these guys are going to be happy even though you're not.
Nabnos, Ramat tablet,
Guitar?
from a bloody.
Oh, mala zapula. Mala savula leva. Oh, fine lev.
Framalad.
Just a super romantic engagement with the sound of somebody else crying in the background. Matthew looked so done at the end, like he gave them such a look and just walked away. But anyway, these two are engaged now. So that's good news for them, even if it's not for Matthew. So Cassandra's clearly got family on the brain. She does have wants around Darren, but I think I'm going to have them just wait a second. I think it'd be nice to have like a proper big wedding and all of that stuff. But what she does have a want for is to obtain a pet. Now, in my last Uberhood, not a single person got a cat or a dog. And the reason for that is because I had a mod in called something like No Pet Obsessions or something. And my understanding was, when I downloaded that mod, was that it would make Sims a little bit less obsessed with pets, but what it actually did is completely took away any wants for big pets at all. They were able to want for small pets, like birds and womrats, but not a single Sim rolled a want for a cat or a dog. So I took that mod out, so we've got those wants back, so we can have some cats and dogs in this neighbourhood, which I'm really excited for. And it looks like Cassandra's going to get a first one. So we're going to go ahead and call the adoption agency and see what they've got available. So I think Cassandra would be best suited to a cat. We could get a kitten, or we could get an adult cat. I don't know which one to choose, so I'm almost tempted to do a random number generator for this as well. I don't have to make any decisions if I can randomise it. And I rolled number 9, so it looks like we're getting Rue. So Rue, as it happens, I believe is the most expensive one as well. So I suppose it's pretty fitting. The Goths just looked at the expensive one and said, we'll have that one, thank you very much. So Rue eats sim food, which isn't great, but they're playful and clean, so that's good, I suppose. And they know how to roll over and speak. Bit of a doofus, kind of cowardly, but quite friendly. Oh wait, did I say eat human food? It says eat pet food. I don't know why I thought that said eat human food. Must be having a moment. Eat pet food, that's good. So this one prefers pet food to sim food. That's good news. So we'll get Rue. Okay, so the adoption person is on their way. So we're just having Cassandra get the food bowl ready. And then we'll just wait for them to come. Alright, so it looks like they're here. So let's come and meet our new cats. Looks like for some reason they're coming to say hello to Dina, but that's fine. It's Cassandra's cat, let's just make that much very clear. I do plan on these two probably moving in together when they get married. Because I think it's probably a when, not an if. And we will take the cat with them when she goes. Because like I said, it's her cat, so look at him shaking that little booty. Okay, so Dina and Alex are home. Dina's got a promotion. She's now an internet movie critic. So her work hours have changed again to work even later. It is, however, Jack's birthday today, so Cassandra's going to come to age him up. I'm excited to see what he looks like. I know you can't really tell that much when they're a toddler, but this is going to be the first toddler of the Uberhood because Chloe Broke hasn't aged up yet, so it feels like a milestone. So let's go ahead and have him age up. Alright, so he's bold. So this is what he looks like. I might wait for Cassandra to put him down and properly zoom in on him. So if anybody is better at Sims 2 genetics than me, maybe you'll enjoy this, I don't know. I can't pick out anything. Obviously I can pick out the colouring of like his hair and his eyes and his skin, but in terms of actual facial features, I've got no idea what he's got from who. So for me, I'm going to have to wait until he gets a bit older to figure out if he looks more like Dina or more like Mortimer or a perfect blend of both. But yeah, that is Jack. So I haven't actually bought Jack any toys, but Alex's bedroom is still pretty, set up for his child self. And so he's just found his way to the doll's house. And it's just so cute. I just love the toddlers. Pain in the ass to look after, but adorable. So it's just like babies in real life, really. Speaking of, the cat is also being adorable. Look at her. So far, Jack gets on way better with Mortimer than Dina, which makes sense because Mortimer's retired and Dina obviously works, so he spends more time with Mortimer. So he's going to be a little daddy's boy. So I wasn't even really paying attention because it's feeding time at the zoo, so I'm trying to get Jack sorted, but Dina just got home and she's got another promotion. So she is now a fact checker. Can't see her enjoying that kind of work, and I imagine that for the duration that she is doing this job, the facts will be a little bit less facty. But that is fine. They've trusted her with this anyway. Hopefully she gets promoted rather than demoted when her job changes next. The good news though is that Dina's work hours have changed again, so she's working more normal hours. She's doing a 9 to 4 now, and she's also working weekdays, so she'll be out of the house pretty much the same time as Cassandra. So what I think we're going to do is I think we'll do Cassandra and Darren, I didn't realise you were getting dressed, Cassandra, sorry. I think we'll do Cassandra and Darren's wedding tomorrow on Saturday, and then make a proper day of it and have everybody celebrate, and everyone will be home. I don't need to worry about people's work hours being different and whatnot. So yeah, we'll do their wedding tomorrow. I did wonder about doing it tonight because, Dina got home so late, but it's really dark and I hadn't actually considered until I zoomed out just then, but it might be a bit dangerous to do it tonight. It might end up turning into more of a funeral than a wedding, so we will leave it. We won't do it tonight. We'll do it tomorrow during the daylight hours and make a day of it. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave this episode here. I had planned to get Cassandra and Darren married this episode, but I think what I'm going to do is leave that until the Dreamer episode, and then we will do the wedding first, and then we will play through the Dreamer week, and then we will move Cassandra in at the end of the week so that their ages all match up and make sense and everything. So it'll be a little bit of a mishmash episode, but as it's the first household merging, I suppose, in the Uberhood, I'm just going to have to play it by ear a little bit. But for now, that is it for the Goth house. household. So if you were here, thank you for watching. Feel free to like, comment and subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you soon.